The Odyssey Explained, the island that tested Odysseus' greatest weakness. For years, Odysseus had fought against impossible odds. He survived battles, he escaped monsters, he crossed a sea where every wave could become his last. But what if we told you? The greatest danger of his journey was not a monster, not an enemy army, not even the ocean. What if the thing that almost destroyed Odysseus was a place that looked like paradise, a place where suffering ended, a place where he could finally stop? But ancient stories leave us with a powerful question: can a peaceful place become the greatest threat to a person's destiny? When people imagine heroes, they usually imagine battles. They imagine swords, armies, victories, but ancient Greek storytellers saw something deeper. They understood that the hardest battles are often invincible. The battle inside the human mind, because every person eventually reaches a moment where they must choose: do I stay where I feel comfortable, or do I continue towards something greater? And this is exactly where the journey of Odysseus becomes more than an ancient adventure. It becomes a story about us. But here is the mystery. Why did ancient writers spend so much attention on moment of rest? Why were peaceful places considered dangerous? The answer reveals something surprising about how the ancient world understood human weakness. In ancient Greek literature, heroes were not perfect beings. They were not created with fear. They were not immune to temptation. They were human, and that was the reason their stories survived for thousands of years. Because the real question was never, can a hero defeat an enemy? The deeper question was, can a hero defeat himself? Thought. Throughout history, many great journeys ended not because people failed, but because they stopped too early. Explorers who abandoned their missions, leaders who became comfortable with success, dreamers who stopped chasing their vision. The pattern repeats again and again. The moment when everything becomes easier can sometimes be the moment when ambition disappears. But Odysseus faced something even more dangerous, because this is not a simple choice between good and evil. The choice was between two things that both looked right: a peaceful life or a difficult path home. So why did he choose the harder road? And what did ancient Greeks believe the would lose if they stayed? The island was not just a location on a map. It was a symbol, a test, a mirror reflecting human nature. Because sometimes life does not challenge us with a pain. Sometimes life changes us with a comfort, and that might be the hardest test of all. The most fascinating part of Odysseus' journey is that his greatest challenge was never only physical. The storms, the monsters, the enemies, those were invisible. But the invisible battles, the battles of patience, identity, and purpose, were far more dangerous, because a person can prepare for an enemy standing in front of them. But how do you prepare for a dream that slowly disappears? How do you fight against a place that gives you everything you thought you wanted? And this leads us to a deeper mystery. Why did ancient storytellers create a hero who was constantly trying to return home, but repeatedly faced situations where he could forget that home existed? The answer reveals the true meaning behind the Odyssey. The journey of Odysseus was never only about reaching a destination, it was about becoming the person capable of reaching it. Every challenge changed him, every loss taught him something, every decision revealed his character. In the ancient world, a hero was not measured by only victories. A hero was measured by endurance, by wisdom, by the ability to continue when the world gave him every reason to stop. This idea is what made the Odyssey different from ordinary adventure stories. The ocean was not just an ocean. The monsters were not just monsters. The islands were not just islands. Every obstacle represents something inside the human experience: fear, pride, desire, hope, and the island that appeared peaceful represent one of humanity's oldest struggles, the temptation to choose comfort over purpose. But there is another question hidden inside the story. Why does humanity still connect with Odysseus thousands of years later? Why does the story written in the ancient world still feel personal today? Because maybe we are all traveling our own vision of the Odyssey, its own islands, places where we feel safe, places where we stop growing, places where we forgot the dreams that once pushed us forward. And this is why the story of Odysseus remains powerful. It is not only about an ancient Greek warrior. It is about every person who has ever faced a decision: stay comfortable or continue the journey. But the journey was from, far from over, because after surviving storms, battles, and impossible choices, Odysseus would face challenges that would test something and even greater than his strength, his intelligence, his leadership, and his ability to survive when the world itself seemed determined to stop him. The true lesson of Odysseus is simple. Great journeys are not destroyed only by disasters. Sometimes they are destroyed by moments when everything feels perfect, because the greatest danger is not always a storm. Sometimes it is the moment when you decide to stop sailing. Odysseus was not just a story about returning home, it was a story about discovering who you become along the way. And the next chapter will reveal another mystery, one that changed Odysseus' journey forever. If you enjoy this journey through the hidden story, mysteries, and lessons behind the Odyssey, join us for the next chapter. Subscribe to Mood Booster TV and become part of this cinematic journey through history. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you choose? Comfort for the journey ahead?